Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 DPS specs that you may want to consider playing in the War Within Season 2, especially in regards to DPS and in consideration of Mythic Plus and Raiding. So let's take a look and discuss them class by class. Some of these classes I don't necessarily play at a super high level, but this is based largely on the thoughts and opinions of players from the PTR on several websites. So yeah, let's take a look and discuss it a little bit. So the first specialization and the first class that we will be taking a look at is actually the Augmentation Evoker. Augmentation Evoker is one of the only real support / DPS specs in the game, and they still have the basic strength to really augment the damage of your party. Ebon Might remains absolutely still ridiculously powerful. The reason why they're so good is that they mesh with every single class, so they still work with every single other DPS spec. They bring a ton of utility with Cauterizing Flame, Living Flame, Expunge, Cauterizing Flame, Zephyr, Blessing of the Bronze, Fury of the Aspects. All of these things are incredibly useful, and 100% players will want these to be part of their items. The tier set for War Within Season 2 looks really good. A 4-piece tier set improves your upheaval talent, which allows it to have a bigger radius, and you get an essence burst on every cast, which gives Living Flame and Reversion a 15% chance to make your next essence ability free. So basically it's a way to keep up your rotations. All in all, the class looks really good and continues to be a prime example of a great DPS support in World of Warcraft. The next class we'll take a look at is Enhancement Shaman. So Enhancement Shaman basically is a spec that continues to be very strong going into Season 2. One of the best melee options. They can do AoE, cleave, single target, and consistent damage. They also have a lot of utility again with things like Capacitor Totem, Tremor, Windrush, Stone Bulwark, Heroism, or Bloodlust, depending obviously on your faction, and Sky Fury. They just have a lot of really good abilities that enable you to have a little bit of that utility along with consistent DPS. The tier set that they will get will give you a stack up to a 5 times winning streak. Basically, the buff increases the damage of Storm Strike, Doom Winds, and Lava Lash by 5% per stack. So those are your main rotationary damage abilities. Maelstrom weapons have a chance to consume 1 stack, so having your Maelstrom weapons on will allow you to potentially consume a stack, obviously, which then potentially allows you to cast Doom Winds again, which lets you cast Crashing Lightning again. Essentially, basically, to cut a long story short, it speeds up the rotation of an already strong class. It's all that utility that's really going to get you going, and much like the support powers of the Augmentation Evoker, they continue to be an incredibly powerful spec going into Season 2. Next, we'll take a look at Beastmaster Hunter. Beastmaster Hunters are not really any form of utility. So obviously the meta now, especially for really strong raid groups and Mythic Plus groups, is to have cross utility DPS characters to help lessen the load on healers and the utility required. But Beastmaster just has an insane amount of damage. A lot of it is also super simple, coming down to things like Bestial Wrath and Bloodshed, Bite, etc. Basically, there's just sustained, consistent AoE damage all the time. The set this time will give you a jackpot proc, so basically your attacks have a chance to trigger 200% effectiveness of Barbed Shot. This is crucial because this combined with Bestial Wrath will guarantee the proc, and what this does is basically allows you to cause dot damage, but also really up that critical strike rate, which is huge. Bestial Wrath right now is very strong, and obviously subject to any PTR changes, Beastmaster can continue to be a simple yet effective, super high damage dealer for characters and players. So unfortunately I only just got back into leveling my mage. I used to main it as my DPS way back in the day, but Fire Mage, much like myself, is making quite a big comeback in terms of spec. So Fire Mage basically was recently nerfed in the PTR. They are still kind of balancing it, but it has definitely really gotten quite strong. Very good single target, very good AoE. Combustion is the reason why. So Combustion remains a very strong burst spell. That ability to give you that critical strike chance of 100% is absolutely huge, giving you incredibly quick gameplay and also very reactive gameplay, which means in a lot of situations you can adapt, be a little bit more on the fly than other spellcasters. On top of that, Arcane Intellect, always incredibly powerful, helpful for any spellcasting class. Then you also get stuff like Time Warp, Mass Invisibility, Mass Barrier, Tables, and Portals, which is utility that may not necessarily directly translate into combat all the time, but is always useful. The tier set for the next season revolves around Combustion. The Jackpot proc will reduce the cooldown for 2 seconds, and an extra damage boost. This is huge because, look, it may not seem like it's going to be a lot, but every time you proc that Jackpot, that cooldown is going to drop down and that combustion time is going to go up, and you're going to be doing some crazy damage. So Fire Mage, if you are a mage person, mage player, consider dropping in to Fire Mage. Last but not least, I will give you guys my final suggestion of Destruction Warlock. Basically, Destruction Warlock, another great AoE damage dealer. However, the AoE fluctuates. This is the type of unit or class that can do huge damage if there are hundreds of thousands of enemies, and then things obviously drop down the less and less and less the enemies are. So it's a little bit, little bit inconsistent. But the bigger the pulls, the bigger the mobs, the bigger the packs, the more damage Warlocks are going to do. That's not all. There's also other great utility. You've got obviously your Hellstones, your Soulstones, AoE stuns with Shadow Fury. You've got gateways, you've got curses, you've got tons of great stuff that really helps. The Jackpot proc from the tier set for this class basically gives you 12 bolts of 200% effectiveness to Demon Fire, while every Summon Infernal guarantees a proc. So basically your Infernal, your Demon Fire, these are huge and gives you massive amounts of improved AoE damage, and basically really boosts your ability to cause big time damage and for other players to cause big time damage. So really good. Warlock's my final pick, but I think a really good one to look out for. And that's that. That should cover everything you need to know. Well, I say everything you need to know. That should cover my top 5 picks for DPS. Let me know what your top 5 picks are, or if you play any of these classes, are you excited to play them in Season 2? That's it from me. Bye.